Aaron, you know we gotta talk about some Aaron Rodgers, baby. You know we gotta talk some Aaron Rodgers. I mean, it wouldn't be a show if we ain't talk about Aaron Rodgers. I mean, of course, we're on our 19th day in the month of May. Of course, we're gonna talk some Aaron Rodgers. Why wouldn't we talk Aaron Rodgers today? Come on, baby. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. So, yeah. Aaron, what we got going on with Aaron Rodgers? So, still no official word, right? We've been waiting, trying to see when he was going to, if ever, tell us, he wants to play for the black and gold this year, or maybe he doesn't want to play for the black and gold this year. Either way, we're still waiting to get an update officially from Aaron Rodgers. Now, unfortunately, we still at least have to wait a little bit longer, but somebody that was at least close or revolving around his camp. And what I mean is this, I think it was last year was when his book came out, right? That he didn't write, but the author wrote it, did all the interviewing surrounding, people that have worked with Rodgers, teammates of Rodgers, and then had a chance to communicate with Rodgers prior to the book releasing. And from the way that he talks about it in their relationship, he feels like he has an understanding of the man. I mean, if you write a book on a guy, you got to understand something about this guy, right? You constantly talking to the guy, even after the fact, man, you have some type of dynamic because you get his comments on the book and include it prior to the book releasing. All right. So just set the scene. That's kind of what's going on. All right. Now, based on that author, shout out to us authors out there, all right? If you're looking for another book, Moats Theory of Life, get it at moatstheory.com. That's my book. Just figure I'll plug it shamelessly. But anywho, the author says that he feels Aaron Rodgers will be making a decision soon. And he actually gave us a little bit of a date, a timeline. He says before minicamp. Now, we know OTAs is what's about to start. OTAs is what's coming up in a couple of weeks, actually next. I want to say that's next week because 26 is Monday. Yeah, so starting real soon. OTAs will begin for the black and gold. Now, talking with Charlie Batch, he feels, the further you get closer to training camp, the harder it is for those quarterbacks to hit the ground running with new personnel and new playbooks because Aaron Rodgers doesn't have any type of connection to this here coaching staff or personnel that we have. And even for those that are, kind of my mindset, well, man, Russell Wilson, he, didn't do any training camp because he was injured, missed a lot of the season, but then came in and hit the ground running, so to speak, actually played well down up until those final 5 games where, we kind of saw where he almost flamed out, so to speak, right? But you have to remember that he did have all of OTAs, all of minicamp, all of that time leading up to training camp as well to kind of prepare and get just get really familiar with the playbook, with the personnel. So those are some of the things with Aaron Rodgers that, the longer this goes, the more, effect or impact it could have when the season actually gets here. Now, the positive thing, though, is this, though. If he were to make a decision by minicamp, that does give him time to have a true training camp type of vibe for those 3 days because you're going to get the full work day schedule that you would get in a regular season Wednesday, Thursday, Friday type concept in contrast to what OTA schedule is, which is still a little bit more of an early release vibe. So with that, you would still get the work you want to get done. We obviously know OTAs are voluntary. Hence the reason why when dudes are in the middle of contract disputes like we've seen in the past, Cam Hayward, Minka Fitzpatrick, TJ Watt, they haven't necessarily practiced during those. They still showed up, but they didn't practice. And we obviously know with those dudes, the familiarity, we weren't tripping on it at all. But it just goes to show that this is voluntary. So even if you don't practice or if you don't show up, it's not like it was the ultimate bad. But when we're looking at minicamp, we know that's the mandatory portion. That's where you need to be here to ultimately get locked in with the guys, man, and get everybody on the same page. So to me, I think that, if it is minicamp, I like that as a hard deadline, but I also feel like, man, at that point, when do we truly say enough is enough? You hear the Deshaun Elliott's of the world. Cam Hayward at one point in time even talked about how, it was kind of like, man, look, we don't want to do this whole waiting thing. Either you with us or you're not. All of that is relevant because we're talking about chemistry. We're talking about that camaraderie. We're talking about understanding the intimate details of the calls and of your personnel. How does he like to run his comeback route? How does he like to run his stop route? How does he like to run his slant route, his vertical route, his post corner? These are all the things that you want to gather information on. And the only way you can do that is by practicing together, and specifically not just doing routes on air, which is what he was doing with DK Metcalf and Caleb Johnson at various points this offseason. It needs to be in football team settings, and that's what you get in OTAs, mini camp, training camp, etc. So we will see, said, man, how Aaron Rodgers and his timeline cooperates with our current timeline and where we are right now, man. But yeah, this is an interesting one, man. Definitely a interesting one.